What is your favorite conspiracy theory?
My favorite conspiracy theory about the Titanic is that when the command, "hard a starboard," was given, the helmsman, who started his career in sailing ships, turned right instead of left. Starboard, after all, means right. By the time the error was realized and the ship began to turn left, it was too late. The only crew members who knew about the initial error and survived kept it a secret throughout the inquest. The story only came to light in 2010 when the granddaughter of one of the crew members came forward to confess to what he'd told the family about what really happened. If the ship had turned left instead of right to begin with, it easily would have avoided the iceberg. The 10-year challenge on Facebook in 2019, which encouraged Facebook users to upload pictures from 2009 and a current one from 2019, was actually a front by programmers to gain data and examples to train facial recognition and age progression software. That the Kardashian sisters keep their brother chubby so they can use his fat for their injections. That the mark to fill up laundry detergent is purposefully higher than it should so you buy more. And to ruin your washer. Apparently, we all use way too much detergent, and it destroys your washing machine faster. Not to mention fabric softener, which is really bad for washers too.
The entire Jeffrey Epstein thing. My dad worked as a cop and has seen quite a few dead bodies. Those bruises are really weird. It would make sense if the makeshift rope would move up his throat as more weight was dragging him down, but the markings on the front of his throat were too thin for a noose made out of clothing. Hanging suicides have different bruises depending on what the instrument is, and this looks way too thin, almost like a wire. And he also had broken neck bones. There is no way he was going to be able to break his own fucking neck. And while it is possible to hang yourself while your feet are touching the ground, it would require a much bigger fall to break his neck. Plus, why the fuck would the cameras not work, in that exact moment? Why wasn't he under constant in-person supervision just in case, when they clearly knew that he could have possibly been a high-value target for some people? He got a good deal for the name list. And he just happens to kill himself right before he is supposed to give it in? Maxwell Better has an armed guard on her at all times. Tissue boxes make dust come out when you pull a tissue so that you sneeze more and use more tissues.
That Dorothy Kilgallen didn't kill herself and the government was responsible for JFK's assassination. I don't know why the government would do something like that, but the evidence lines up. Reporters don't kill themselves when they're days away from publishing something that would crack the JFK case wide open. Also, witnesses saw FBI agents leaving her house with documents. Plus the only person she handed her draft to wound up dead 2 days later. The draft, of course, went missing and the investigation into her death was laughable. That the government creates or at least promotes crazy conspiracy theories to make the true ones seem crazy by association. For the record, serious answer. But, there's this soup place at our local mall that's been there for 3 years now. I've never seen anyone order anything from there, and I rarely see anyone at the register. When our mall was closed due to COVID lockdown/quarantine, several locally owned stores shut down, and a few places in the food court. The last time I was there was for my birthday in August, and the soup place is still there. My mom and I have an array of theories about what it could be, ranging from money laundering to a front for drugs, but I cannot believe that place is legitimate. Somebody replied, I knew a fried chicken place that was money laundering. They got caught because of a newbie in a money laundering business who tried to claim they made way too much money selling fried chicken. The calculation was had they been open 24/7 and with 10 workers non-stop using all the fried they would have to sell at least 30 orders every second. And there was photo and video evidence that the place was empty.
That my phone listens to conversations. Far too many situations where I'd talk about something random and see adverts about it on Facebook and Instagram without ever searching for it.
Dollar slice pizza places. This may not make sense to people who don't live in New York City. We have these great places that sell a plain slice of pizza, cheese only, for $1. I can't believe they make rent and payroll on volume with $1 per slice and the going rent rates. This has to be some sort of money laundering scam, but one where no one cares because you get a slice of pizza for $1. Might not be the best pizza, but damn, $1 slice. I'll always stop in if I'm passing one on the street. This just can't be economically feasible and something else is going on. United 93 was shot down before it could crash into another building. The hero story of the flight being taken down by passengers was made up by the American government to turn the passengers into heroes instead of people who were caught in the wrong place at the wrong time. There is a chance that Earth is part of a larger alien civilization. There is an island off the coast of Thailand called North Sentinel Island. The inhabitants of that island are the direct descendants of humans that left Africa, and they didn't have much contact with the rest of the world for the most part. Because of this, a lot of modern diseases, which most of the world is immune to, are lethal to them. They are still in the Stone Age, and no one understands their language. This island is part of India, and due to the reasons I mentioned above, India does not allow visitors to this island. The Indian Navy actually enforces a no-go zone around the island to protect the inhabitants from outsiders who could introduce lethal diseases. The islanders do not know what India is and that they are claiming and protecting them. So what if there is an alien civilization that claims our solar system and for some reason, we do not know, does not introduce themselves to us? They could be checking up on us, UFO sightings. Basically, what if the Earth is the North Sentinel Island for a galactic civilization that spans across multiple star systems? The Phantom Cosmonauts. One of my favorite Cold War conspiracies. Yuri Gagarin wasn't the first man in space, he was just the first one to come back alive. There are a lot of documents and records that have never been released of the Soviet Union space program, which many believe also proves that there were a significant number of cosmonauts that were sent into space and never came back. A pair of Italian brothers were mature radio enthusiasts who wanted to eavesdrop on US and Soviet space chatter and made their own radio tower in an old German bunker. They caught radio transmissions of interesting things like what's most likely a female cosmonaut that's re-entering the atmosphere, but her craft is burning up as she's updating the situation in real time. There's also what's possibly a Morse code signaling SOS, which is getting weaker and weaker, almost like the signal is moving away. As if a spacecraft is drifting further from Earth. It's more than likely that modern-day Russia is hiding a lot of secrets of their Soviet space program, and that also means the men and women they sent up there that never came back home. There is a conspiracy that during COVID, Kim Jong-un got COVID and passed away and then got replaced with a look-alike. There was news that he had gotten sick and then hospitalized. There was no news for a while until a week later when he was miraculously healed. Pictures of him before and after this look completely different to me. I honestly believe he was replaced. Someone replied, I've been part of a bunch of facial recognition studies with Greenwich University due to my ability to remember and distinguish faces, and I'll just say that if this is true, they've done good enough a job to be undetectable to me. The lines around his mouth are identical, his teeth are browner but otherwise identical, and the mark on his right cheek is the same on all pictures I've seen of him from 2013 to now. Some features are different, like nose, cheeks, and the shape of his face, but they could just as well be due to his massive weight loss.
Reagan was diagnosed with Alzheimer's when he was still in office, and his advisors told him to write a letter to the American people to be released later after it got too bad to hide. When his condition went public in 1994, they released the letter, and it was almost perfect handwriting, spelling, and grammar. 6 months later, he couldn't carry on a conversation. I'm convinced he didn't progress that fast in 1994, and that the entire thing was constructed over the years to look like he was mentally competent while he was president.
Subscribe so you don't miss the next videos.